Hey now, Forge fans, Anthony Urcioli with you. It's the Forge Audio Network, your official home of the reigning, defending, undisputed Canadian Premier League champions, Forge FC. 3 titles in 4 seasons, and they're off to a solid start to the 2023 campaign. A draw in the first one. They had to come back from a couple of deficits, but overall played well against Cavalry FC to start the year. But they've never won the opening match of a regular season, so why start now? Hasn't really set them back much in the past. So they get the 1 point, and then they play their opening round match against FC Laval, the Canadian Championship tournament, secure a 3-0 win with ease. Were able to use all of their players, use up their minutes, use their depth, and hopefully stay fresh for their next match, which is coming up on Saturday, 4 o'clock, Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. Halifax making the trip to the Hammer. And Halifax, by the way, coming off a Canadian Championship loss against Atletico Ottawa. And that was Wednesday night. So quick turnaround. Now you got to go to Hamilton, play Forge. That was a rough one, though. You know, they wanted to go into Hamilton feeling pretty good about themselves. Not so. We're going to be joined shortly by CPL analyst Benedict Rhodes. Not only did he cover the Canadian Championship match between Halifax and Ottawa, he will also be in Hamilton on Saturday covering Forge and Halifax for CanPL.ca. So Benedict's going to join us. Welcome back to the Forge Audio Network. I guess it's the first one this season. And, Halifax, look, last year, whenever I spoke to Forge players, coaches, a lot of the talk was about how difficult it is to play Halifax as it is, but also play at Halifax. Halifax dropping their first round matchup against Atletico Ottawa in the Canadian Championship 3-1 at home. What is it? Why Halifax did a disappointing season last year? Disappointing result in the Canadian Championship. What's been missing with them?
I think the thing that's been missing for Halifax to start the season is the same thing that troubled them last year, and that's just the end product, right? I think they've struggled over the last couple of years to score goals. Last year, I think they had 24 goals in 28 games, and they've won each of the games so far. So I guess early returns have been okay, but they're not scoring as many as they're conceding, I guess, and that's always a problem.
Which sets up a very difficult tie on Saturday against Forge. Also, Forge did play as well this week, but an easier contest against FC Laval. They're able to use their bench and use their depth and spread the minutes around. This can't help Halifax's case. It was already going to be a tough matchup, and now they're on slightly short rest, and they had a tough match against Ottawa.
Yeah, it'll be tough. Last season, Forge had Halifax's number. They beat them, I think, 3-0 and 4-0 in Halifax, and I think they beat them at Tim Hortons Field as well. So it'll be a tough one for Halifax. It's always tough when you're playing in Tim Hortons Field against Forge FC, but they'll be motivated, I think, to break this early kind of slow start to their season and get back on the right track. So I think it'll be an exciting one.
Yeah, and your impressions? Forge, the 2-2 draw because they cannot win their opener. I think they've already made some kind of a pact that they're not going to win their opener, but earn the draw against Cavalry, and then the result against Laval. Noah Jensen, 3 goals in those first 2 matches last year. I don't know what his goals per 90 were, but for a guy that didn't play a lot, he was very productive last year as well, and clearly showing that was no fluke. I mean, Noah's for real. And it looks like he's ready to take that next step and maybe be just one of the more quality midfielders in this league.
Absolutely. I think you've seen him mostly stepping in when Kyle Becker hasn't been on the field, and he seems to always transition perfectly into that role and never skips a beat when he plays. And I think it's going to be hard to get him out of that starting lineup. Even when Kyle Becker's back, it's going to be difficult to push Noah Jensen out if he's playing the way he has been. Like you said, 3 goals in 2 games. Can't ask much more than that from a midfielder.
No, absolutely not. And similar goals in the sense that he's just a heady player. I mean, his IQ just seems to be off the charts in terms of being in the right place at the right time. This has kind of been his MO, that a captain everywhere he's played. He's always picked up quickly on systems. Disciplined guy off the field as well. Takes good care of himself. He kind of has that captaincy written all over him.
Potentially, yeah. I think even if he doesn't have the armband on, having all those leaders on the pitch is crucial for a team, especially one with the ambitions that Forge has. And I think Noah Jensen is going to be a player who, for as long as he's in this league, and potentially if he goes to another level, he's always going to be a player who leads by example and is a respected presence, I guess, on and off the pitch.
Yeah, the forward group for Forge, it's one of those things. It's a nice problem to have. Ton of quality. Can't have all three play 90 minutes a match, obviously. So just your thoughts on the rotation so far. What we saw Jordan Hamilton with the start in the first match, but again, Bobby Smirniotis is using all of his guys because all three now have seen the field. Your thoughts on this problem, but not so much of a problem that Forge has with their forwards.
Yeah, like you said, it's a good problem to have. I think not sure, of course, which exact direction Bobby's going to go on Saturday, but I would expect to see Jordan Hamilton play a lot of minutes. I thought he was excellent in that first game of the season. He's shown up, motivated and ready to go for the start of this season. He's already scored once and with a fantastic penalty. And no matter who he puts on the field, they'll always be competitive. They'll always find ways to score goals. And yeah, like you said, it's a very, very good problem to have if you're Bobby Smirniotis.
Um, this season, anyway, at least the way the year has started for the league, very promising. Attendance, big numbers of attendance. There's a lot of attention on this league in general, internationally, and that's kind of been the way things have gone anyway. That momentum was swinging that way. But just your thoughts on this start, just the league as a whole. I don't know if they've had this much momentum to start a year as they've had this season.
Yeah, I think it's very promising. The second and third seasons of the league, we had bubbles and the league played, but they were maybe not the best possible season, I suppose, in terms of the product. But the way the season has started, you mentioned the big attendances. There's a lot of eyeballs on this league. All the teams seem competitive. They seem ready to go. I think it's gonna be a fantastic season for this league from top to bottom. And there's 5 playoff spots, and there's 8 teams that could compete for them.
Yeah, and the wrinkle of the Canadian Championship and three possible paths to CONCACAF League. So, yeah, big things in store for this league and a good start so far. All right, just before I let you go, let's just talk about Saturday. And Forge, when Forge has struggled, maybe not struggled, but given up goals, let's say, it's been clubs who have sat back, sat back in kind of that low block, and then tried to beat Forge on the counter and try to pounce on mistakes. Is that kind of Halifax's path here, and maybe their shot at 3 points is kind of playing that similar approach against Forge?
Maybe to some extent, but I know the new head coach in Halifax, Patrice Geyser, he's very intent on having a more attacking philosophy than they had last year. And we've seen that through the first few games. I think they've been much more playing on the front foot, and I think that could cause trouble for Forge potentially if they're able to get in behind and make things happen. I think Forge's backline is a strong one, but Halifax's attack has also had a decent start to the season. It's just a matter of whether or not they're able to take advantage of those opportunities that they create.
If there's one thing this league really needs, it's more teams to play an attacking style. I think last year especially things were really tight, and you can't blame the clubs. I mean, they're just trying to win. But yeah, with Halifax playing that way, it's certainly, I think we're in for a good one on Saturday. Benedict Rhodes, you will be there. You want to give us your Twitter or anything you want to promote?
Yeah, sure. My Twitter's at BTFR17 and find all my work at campbell.ca.
Awesome. All right, Benedict, thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Now we present to you the 3 keys to the match for Forge FC as they try to secure 3 points against Halifax. Key number 1, keep the rhythm. First 2 matches, again, not the full 3 points like they wanted in the opener against Calgary. But you look at the match against Laval, one thing I will say about this club, results aside, we know how important results are, but a lot of times, and I find this with Forge, when you have an opportunity to kind of zoom back, maybe you're watching them live, maybe you're watching them on One Soccer, whatever the case may be, watch the players off the ball, especially the strikers. There is something about this club. It's exhausting defending against this club. And when Forge is on, we've talked about it. The pace is up. The ball speed and everything just seems a lot faster. And not just on the ball, off the ball. Players off the ball, moving, getting into space. playing heady football. This is a smart club with a lot of smart players that know where to be and when. When you watch the players off the ball, you get an indication of whether Forge is feeling it or not. And through the first 2 games, they were very active off the ball, and I expect that to continue. So keep that rhythm. Key number 2 for Forge FC, uphill Wanderers. Do not give this club any confidence. They're coming off a really tough loss at home against Ottawa. Short week, going to Hamilton now, the most difficult stadium to play in. And you're playing against the best club this league has ever seen. Don't give them any hope. Make them play uphill. Make them chase. Make them work. If they're going to get opportunities, make sure they earn them. Nothing cheap. Make them play uphill. Uphill Wanderers. That's the name of the key. Key number 3 for Forge FC, strike. First match, they got Jordan Hamilton on the board. Pacius got on the board. In the second match, Terran Campbell's been knocking at the doorstep. What I mean by strike, get more and more guys involved. This team starts feeling it. The more, listen, especially as a striker, momentum is important. Just being in a good headspace, feeling confident. When the ball goes in, it does something to a striker. They need to get into that rhythm. So for Forge FC to go where they want to go, and that is deep into the season, into the Canadian Championship, and then into CONCACAF League. They need as many guys feeling good about their ability to finish. And with that, strike. Key number 3 for Forge FC. Those are your 3 keys to the match. I'm Anthony Urciuoli. This is the Forge Audio Network. Always keep it locked. This is your official home for Forge FC. Follow Forge on social media. That's where you're going to get a lot of it as well. There's so much content being delivered to you, the Forge fans. We'll talk to you soon.